What's up, sports fans? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel, and it's time to give you my reaction to yesterday's top 25 college football playoff rankings for week number 12 of the 2023 college football season. So these rankings came out last night. Again, it was really late to do a video yesterday because we had, of course, the playoff rankings didn't come out until like 9 o'clock Eastern time. We had the basketball games going on in the Champions Classic, those double headers and everything. So the playoff rankings came out last night, so now we're going to give you my reaction to them today. And again, we'll have, of course, some disagreements here in this video, and also some agreements. Did the playoff committee get it right again, or did they get some areas wrong? Well, every time when we do these reactions to these top 25 college football playoff rankings, there's going to be some areas where, the playoff committee gets it right, and then there's also some areas where the playoff committee is going to get it wrong. But I'm going to give you my best reaction here to these playoff rankings as we're heading into week 12 of the 2023 season. And based off of the first couple weeks, there's been some areas where the playoff committee has been getting it right, and then there's some areas where they've been not getting it right. So let's get right into it here. Again, we'll start from the top and work our way to the bottom. We'll start with the top 5 here. So no changes to the teams here in the top 5, but a change here to the number 1 seed. The number 1 seed here for week number 12 is going to be the Georgia Bulldogs. They're 10-0. I think it's a really reasonable spot here for Georgia. I'm not going to disagree here with the committee on this one. I think Georgia clearly is the number 1 seed. Ohio State, really their resume has kind of been falling apart now. Notre Dame, they still have that win over there in the month of September, but that win's not really looking good now for them. Notre Dame lost to a pretty bad Clemson team, and that was kind of, not a really good resume enough for Ohio State to still be at number 1. Georgia, the way they played this past weekend, I think that's the reason why the committee really chose Georgia to be the number 1 seed as well. So I'm perfectly fine where Georgia is, and I'm also perfectly fine where Ohio State is at number 2. And then Michigan here comes in at number 3. Big win against Penn State. I like where they're at. They remain here at number 3, even though they have played like a really easy schedule this year. But I'm perfectly fine where the committee puts them at. And then Florida State at number 4, and then Washington here at number 5. So Florida State and Washington are pretty close. They are pretty much neck and neck. Same thing with Michigan and Florida State. You look at Michigan, they have, the win over Penn State now, and then Florida State, they have the win over LSU still, so it's pretty tight between those two teams. But I think Michigan has the better win, compared to Florida State's win over LSU early in the year. And then Washington, they have some good quality wins over some good Pac-12 teams. You look at, of course, Utah, that was a really good win for them, and they also have the resume win over Oregon. So the top 5 here, I do pretty much agree here with the committee. They got the top 5 teams here, the undefeated teams left remaining here in the college football season, all here in the top 5 still. And again, the change there to the number 1 seed. The Georgia Bulldogs are now the number 1 seed, the back-to-back national champions. And again, I'm fine with this. I really think Georgia definitely deserves to be number 1, even though they were not very good against Missouri a couple weeks ago, but they were definitely really good against Ole Miss. So this is the top 5. Let's now go through 6 through 10. So at number 6, we have Oregon. They're still number 6 here. Texas at number 7. Alabama at number 8. And then Missouri here at number 9. And then Louisville here at number 10. So Oregon, Texas, and Alabama all remain in their, same spots. They all have 9-1 records. Oregon, like I said, they don't have a better resume than Texas and Alabama does. Alabama has a better resume than Texas and Oregon does. And again, like I said last week, I think Oregon should have probably been at number 8. Alabama probably at number 7. Texas would be at number 6 just because of the head-to-head matchup. So I really am not going to agree with, I'm not going to disagree with the committee putting Texas ahead of Alabama still, even though Alabama has a better resume than Texas does. And again, Texas's only quality wins, are against Kansas State. And also, of course, Alabama early in the year. So they only have a couple wins. Alabama's wins come against Tennessee. They also have wins over Ole Miss. And they also have a win against another team. I'm trying to figure out who that was. Alabama has just a better resume than both Texas and Oregon does. But again, Alabama is not going to pass Texas because of the head-to-head matchups, and again, head-to-head kind of really matters here when it comes to these rankings. So again, Alabama, Texas, and Oregon all remain in their same spots. Missouri jumps really a lot of spots here at number 9. I'm fine where Missouri is at now because they have a really good resume now. Obviously, with a win over Tennessee this past weekend, that was definitely a huge win there to boost their resume. They also have a win over Kansas State, which that win early in the year looks really good for them, so I'm fine where Missouri's at. I think they definitely should be ahead of Louisville. Louisville jumped up to number 10, even though they did not really play well against Virginia this past week. But, Louisville definitely, still kind of, needs to be in the top 10 here. They do have a win, of course, over Notre Dame. That's their only quality win on the season. So, yeah, that Notre Dame game probably not going to look good now for Louisville, but this has been a really good team this year. I guess that's why the committee is ranking them this high. So, again, the 6 through 10 range here. Again, Oregon, Texas, and Alabama were from 6 through 8 last week. And again, I just don't really agree with Oregon being at number 6. But again, Texas and Alabama here. Texas is going to still remain ahead of Alabama just because of the head-to-head matchup. And again, Alabama has a better resume than Texas and Oregon does. But again, they're not going to pass both Oregon and Texas here. And also Alabama with 3 resume wins. Like I said, they have wins over LSU. I forgot to mention that game as well. LSU, Ole Miss, and then Tennessee. So those are 3 really good wins for Alabama. So these are the rankings here from 6 through 10. All right, 11 through 15, there is some changes here from 11 through 15. We got Oregon State here at number 11, probably one of the best 8-2 teams out of the Pac-12 this year. I'm fine where they're at. Penn State at number 12. They only dropped like a couple spots after that loss to Michigan. I'm fine where they're at. I don't think they should have been penalized that much, of course, for that loss to Michigan. Again, they only lost that game like 24-15, even though they don't have like a really good resume. But then Ole Miss here at number 13. I also think Ole Miss should have not been penalized, even though they lost that badly to a really good Georgia team. That's a really good loss for them. And, both Penn State and Ole Miss have really good losses. You look at Penn State. They have losses to Ohio State and Michigan. Those are two really good losses for Penn State. And then for Ole Miss, they have a loss to Alabama. That's a good loss there. And then they also have a loss, to Georgia. So those are really 2 good losses to top 10 teams. And again, Ole Miss has really played a tough schedule this year. And then Oklahoma here at number 14, I'm fine where they're at. This Oklahoma team looked really good this past weekend against West Virginia, even though they have the loss to Oklahoma State and Kansas. Those are, not bad losses for them. Both of those teams are pretty good this year, but they're 7-3 on the season now, so you can't put them ahead of Oklahoma here just because of those losses to really bad teams for Oklahoma State and Kansas. And then LSU here back in the top 15 at number 15. Honestly, I think LSU still remain here as a top 15 team. I think this is one of the best 7-3 teams, perhaps in the country, besides maybe another team in there. But again, I'm fine where LSU is at. But again, no disagreements here from the 11 through 15 range. Again, I don't think Oregon State definitely, I'm fine where they're at. I don't think they should be well behind. I think I'm fine where they're at. Penn State and Ole Miss, I think they definitely should have not been penalized. Penn State, obviously, of course, at number 12, and then Ole Miss at number 13. Again, I'm fine where both of these teams are at. I don't think their losses are really that bad. And again, top 10 teams, that's who they've been playing this year. Ohio State's a top 10 team, and also Michigan is a top 10 team. And then Ole Miss as well has played really good games this year, again, against some really good teams like Alabama and, of course, Georgia this past weekend. So these are the rankings here from 11 through 15. Let's now go through 16 through 20. So this is where the disagreements are going to come here. So at number 16 is Iowa, and then at number 17 is Arizona. Tennessee at number 18, Notre Dame at number 19, and then North Carolina here at number 20. What I don't agree with here is why is Iowa ahead of Arizona? That just does not make any sense. Arizona's been on a winning streak. They have really good quality wins this year against really good Pac-12 teams in that conference. Iowa, you look at them, they don't have like a quality win, and plus they're really terrible on offense, but they're good on defense. Even though Iowa did not play really good this past weekend against Rutgers, I just don't really understand that, why the committee is giving Iowa a lot of credit here. Again, Iowa does not have any quality wins on their resume. I mean, they don't even have a top 25 win. I mean, they do have like a really good win over Iowa State early in the year. But again, I just don't really agree with this. Why is Iowa ahead of Arizona when Arizona's been on a winning streak? And also, Arizona has like a win over Oregon State. And they also have wins like over UCLA. UCLA's not a bad team, but they are not even ranked. But Arizona has been a much better team than Iowa has all year. Maybe it's because the season, maybe because of the record, I guess, because Iowa's 8-2 and then Arizona's at 7-3. But I tell you what, Arizona is that second best team in the country. They definitely deserve to be here, ranked a little bit higher than Iowa. And honestly, like I said last week, Iowa should not be even ranked here in these playoff rankings. I don't even have them ranked in my top 25 because they don't have like a good enough win in order for me to put them in there. Yes, I have ranked them, early in the season, but they started to really be inconsistent on the offensive side of the football. So again, Iowa and Arizona here, I think this should be switched. I think Arizona should definitely be at number 16. And then Tennessee comes here at number 18. I'm kind of very surprised that the committee did not put this team at the bottom because of their, embarrassing loss to Missouri. Even though that's like a ranked team, maybe that's not a bad loss for Tennessee, but they're sitting there with 3 losses. They do have a loss to Florida that's not really been good now for the last few weeks. So Tennessee here at number 18. Again, they didn't really get penalized that much. They were at number 13 last week, but now they're here at number 18. So it's not really a bunch of spots. And then Notre Dame, not much to talk about them. They had a bye week, so they move up a spot there. And then North Carolina here at number 20. So North Carolina is at number 20. I'm kind of fine where they're at now because, there's not really any other teams to rank here besides North Carolina in the ACC. They're sitting there with 8-2. They have 2 bad losses to really bad teams in the ACC. Georgia Tech's not really a bad team now, but Virginia was definitely a bad loss for North Carolina, but I'm fine where they're at. I think Notre Dame definitely deserves to be ahead of North Carolina just because of those 2 bad losses. And plus, Notre Dame's had like a couple of really tough losses, but those are good losses for Notre Dame. Again, the losses come to Ohio State, and then they also come to Louisville, so they are getting some credit for those losses. But the bad loss came to Clemson, a couple weeks ago. So Notre Dame here at number 19. But again, from 16 through 20 here, I don't agree with Iowa being ahead of Arizona. That just does not make any sense. I think it should be, Arizona at number 16. And then Tennessee probably at number 18 or maybe just at the bottom because they're sitting there at 7-3. And again, Arizona is probably that second best 7-3 team right behind LSU, even though Arizona's been on a winning streak and they do have some really good quality wins against some really good Pac-12 teams. So these are the rankings here, again, from 16 through 20. And again, I don't really agree with Iowa being ranked here from 16 through 20. All right, let's go to the bottom now from 21 through 25. So we got Kansas State here at number 21. I'm fine where they're at. I meant to put their record at 7-3. They're actually sitting there with a 7-3 record. And then Utah here at number 22. I don't think Utah should have been penalized out of the, at least outside the top 20 because they were very competitive against a top 5 team like Washington. I just don't understand that either. I think Utah should have probably still remained at least in the top 20 or maybe like inside the top 20 at least. So Utah here at number 22. Again, I don't think they should have been penalized. Oklahoma State taking a beat down from UCF. They definitely deserve to be here at the bottom just because of that bad loss. And then Tulane here at number 24, still one of the top group of 5 teams, which doesn't make any sense. They moved down a spot, though, just because they haven't really been playing in the last couple weeks. They haven't really been playing really that good. And, they have a really easy schedule, so I don't know what the problem is with Tulane. I think you have to look at least, like other group of 5 teams, like, for example, James Madison out of the Sun Belt could jump in here, which the committee is not giving them credit for. And then also you look at Liberty. I mean, Liberty and James Madison are both undefeated, not just because of the records, but they're definitely trying to fight for a New Year's Six bowl spot. And then Kansas here at number 25. So this team moves down all the way to number 25. I think, to be honest, I think Kansas probably should be at number 23, and then Oklahoma State be at number 25. I know Oklahoma State beat Kansas in the regular season matchup, but, you look at Oklahoma State, they had the more bad loss, in their game to UCF than Kansas did to Texas Tech. And both Texas Tech and UCF are pretty average teams in the Big 12. They're not really good. They're just average. But again, Oklahoma State, they definitely probably should be at number 25 just because of that bad loss, this past weekend to UCF. But again, Utah here, I don't think they should have been penalized outside the top 20. Kansas State, though, I'm fine where they're at. They have some really good losses on their schedule. Texas obviously is one of them. They had a bad loss there, but or actually not a really bad loss. It's a really good loss for them. That was, a comeback from behind in that game. But Kansas State here at number 21, I'm fine where they're at. But again, I just don't agree with Oklahoma State and Kansas being, separate. I think Kansas should be at number 23 because, let's be honest, Kansas only lost by, 3 points in that game to Texas Tech. And then Oklahoma State got absolutely beaten down by UCF. So it should be Kansas State at number 21. Utah should be here, not be here at number 22. Maybe you could put Iowa in here just because of the resume that they don't have. And then you got Kansas here at number 23. That's where I think Kansas should be. And then Tulane here, I'm fine where they're at because they have not been playing good in the last couple of weeks. And then I think Oklahoma State should be here at number 25. So, again, these are the rankings here from 21 through 25. Again, I just don't agree with, Iowa being in the top 25. That's the one thing I disagree with the committee. They should not be ahead of Arizona. And then also, Kansas and Oklahoma State are a little bit different. Like I said, I know Kansas lost to Oklahoma State in the regular season. But again, Kansas, only lost by 3 to Texas Tech. And then Oklahoma State got absolutely beaten down and embarrassed, of course, by UCF. So these are the rankings here from the bottom from 21 through 25. And those are the Week 12 College Football Playoff Top 25 rankings here for the 2023 college football season. What did you guys think last night about these playoff rankings? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you for watching this video, and stay tuned here for more sports content videos on my Lucas Ross Sports Channel.